It's so good to see all of you.
Thank you for coming.
I was introduced as a special guest. I'm not special, you folks are. This is about you. This is about you and your fight for freedom and liberty in America. My message is real clear. To Governor Whitmer, open Michigan now. Now what I want to do is take you back in time to when this whole mess started, and this is a mess.
Yes, it is a mess.
And I think it's important to take a look back, a quick look back in time when this started sometime in March, because if we're going to move forward, we got to know where we came from. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, from the great state of Michigan, you have been lied to. You've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled into giving away your God-given constitutional rights because of a health scare. Fear and hysteria have been the driving forces. Agenda-driven people in the medical field, along with some bureaucrats with ties to liberal causes, began driving public policy. It crushed our economy. It closed businesses and placed law-abiding Americans under house arrest. This was nothing short of economic suicide. Your rights have been trampled on by power-hungry and abusive politicians led by your governor. Now I'm here today because an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And if there's one thing that unites all of us, it is our love of freedom and our thirst for more liberty. When our rights are threatened, we're no longer from the several states, we are from the United States. Now first we were told simply washing our hands was the best antidote to the virus, so that's what we did. Then we were told not to worry, that it was no more serious than the seasonal flu. Then the fearmongers took over. We were told based on models that nobody questioned at the time that this virus would cause death and destruction of cataclysmic proportion, with 2.8 million deaths predicted in the United States alone, and that all economic activity would have to cease.
Not true.
States of emergency were declared, giving politicians and bureaucrats power beyond their authority to deal with this health crisis. That included a suspension of our God-given rights under the Constitution. Businesses were closed. Schools were shut down. Professional sports leagues canceled their schedules. Keep in mind that we were told this would only be for a few weeks. Then, as we know today, weeks turned into months, and some of the so-called experts told us that this suspension of our American way of life might have to go on for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Some had even said that we cannot return to our American way of life until a vaccine was discovered, and that might take 12 to 18 months. All medical and scientific evidence that ran contrary to this sky-is-falling rhetoric that we were being sold was suppressed, taken down from social media. Journals and articles are immediately removed from social sites if they're not in line with the prevailing bullshit. evidence was called nothing more than a distraction. It was called conspiracy theory, even though this competing evidence came from other experts in the medical and scientific field. When some like me began to question the so-called experts, all we got were cliches and platitudes like, we need to do this out of abundance of caution. That if we only saved one life, it would be worth it, and it was the right thing to do. We were told that to do nothing would be irresponsible, safety first, and that what we were doing and what we were being subjected to was just a minor inconvenience. Good law-abiding Americans were lulled and frightened into a state of not voluntary but ordered compliance. Because we Americans are compassionate and we trusted this cabal that took on the aura of experts, we complied with their orders to shelter in place, which is really house arrest, and to shutting down commerce. After all, we were told this would only last a few weeks. Power-hungry politicians, sensing that they had us right where they wanted us, began implementing draconian measures. They kept extending the dates. Government, without public input, decided that people and businesses would be classified as either essential or non-essential. Ladies and gentlemen, we had no idea of what was to come. This was just the beginning. Shelter in place was replaced by social distancing that became the new buzz phrase. Then came the phrase bending the curve and flattening the curve. We were told that we had to marshal our resources to make sure hospitals weren't overrun. We were told that a surge in the number of people who contracted the coronavirus was coming, and the death toll would be something that we have never seen before. This is the bullshit we were handed. If you recall, the Surgeon General even said that this surge would be our Pearl Harbor. The problem here is someone forgot to tell the coronavirus. The surge never came. The hospitals were not overrun. In fact, hospitals started laying off staff. Ventilators were being returned and orders canceled. The models collapsed under peer review. The death count did not spike as promised. People who got the virus were actually surviving, and many more who had it showed no symptoms at all. Government began playing fast and loose with the reporting data. I don't trust the media reports on the data. I don't trust it because it's contaminated. It is no longer trustworthy. Has this affected some people? Yes, it has. But we've never killed the American economy over a health scare. Instead of backing off, government has become more oppressive with no signs of letting up. Now we're told that testing of every American must be done before American life can return. To tell you that I do not want the government to run any testing operation of the American people. Bill Gates has suggested microchipping every American. And like you, that is a rabbit hole I do not want to go down. The decision to test or vaccinate should be between you and your doctor, period, not the government. And the decision to share that information should be up to you. Now, as we witnessed, the First Amendment was the first casualty of this crisis. A police state has emerged where citizens are confronted without probable cause and questioned as to why they're not in their homes.
Fuck them!
Arrests have been made in some areas, citations issued in other areas for not complying with government edicts that violate our rights to freedom of movement and freedom of association. The free exercise of religion was obliterated. Churches were closed. Easter was canceled. Clergymen have been arrested for holding church services while criminals have been released from jails and prisons. The right of freedom to association was replaced by staying 6 feet from one another. And by the way, how did they come up with this number of 6 feet? I think they just pulled it out of their rear end. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 3.5, maybe it's 8, I don't know. But why 6?
666!
But again, remember, nobody questioned it because these were government orders and they were not to be questioned. Well, not only did I question it, I want answers, damn it, and I want the answers now. Along with the contaminated data that we've been handed about the coronavirus, there's a few other victims that were caught up in the wake. 26 million people are out of work and have applied for unemployment. Economic activity is on life support. Shutting down commerce has wiped out 12 years of job gains in 30 frickin' days. The economy is contracting instead of expanding. Despite the rosy picture that some are painting, economies do not turn around on a dime. It will take a very long time to recover from this.
Yep.
Now, where do we go from here? And I get asked that a lot. First, a message to your governor. Governor Whitmer, like the Founding Fathers had to do in 1775 in declaring their independence from this abusive crown in England, I just laid out the list of grievances. Governor Whitmer, your abuses have gone on long enough. Shame on you, Governor Whitmer, for inflicting human suffering on the fine people of the state of Michigan. Voters elected you to serve them, not them serve you. The great people of Michigan are free citizens, not subjects of the government. My message again is clear. Open Michigan now. Governor, take your boot off our necks and let us get up. People want to leave their homes, they want their businesses to open, and they want to be restored, not with limitations, but they want those businesses restored to the state before you arbitrarily and capriciously close them down. I don't want to hear about opening them in tears. I don't want to hear about opening up slowly. I want you to open them up with the same speed that you shut them down. Yes! The people of the state of Michigan want this not in 30 days, not until testing can be done, Not until a vaccine is discovered, but now, damn it!
USA!
Business owners are smart people. That's why they went into business instead of government. They can decide what precautions to take. They don't need you to make those decisions for them. Governor Whitmer, we are not children, we are adults, and we're free to make our own decisions. And another thing, Governor, you have this ass backwards. You work for the people of Michigan, they don't work for you. They don't take orders from you, you take orders from them. They're not begging for this, they're demanding it. Governor Whitmer, hear this. If these demands continue to fall on deaf ears, and if you continue to ignore the will of the people, they, like the Founding Fathers, will be left with no other recourse than to ignore your pretended legislation. Michiganders are being polite for now, but not much longer. My advice to the people of Michigan is to become defiant like the founders did of this great nation, like Rosa Parks did, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. knew. They knew what to do when they demanded justice and they were being ignored. They knew that politeness was no longer working. They had to resort to, and let me make this clear, not to violence, but civil disobedience. You no longer have to wait for Governor Whitmer's okay. Leave your homes, open your businesses, and resume your rightful position. Control of your destiny, not Governor Whitmer. And I'll close by saying this. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Now is your time. This is the place to take your freedom and liberty back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. God bless you as you move forward, and may God continue to bless these United States of America. Thank you for being here.